Hey, what's up guys? So now that I showed you how to let the entity framework do most of the heavy lifting for you, we're going to actually go through and learn how to do all of that same stuff ourselves. So once again, starting back from our models, if we look at our video model, this is basically going to represent a video, probably the video that you're watching right now. So it's going to have an ID, a name, a description, a URL, and we're going to have a way to interact with all of the videos in our database table. So we're just going to do public dbset videos. So now we're going to go through, and the first thing that I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to create a new controller. And this is just going to be a controller so that people can come and watch the videos. So I'm just, instead of using a controller with views or anything like that, I'm just going to use an empty controller, and we're going to build it ourselves. And we're going to call this probably the video controller. Or videos, why not? Let's make it plural. Okay, so if we look here, we now have this videos controller. And if we look here, it's going to look sort of like the home controller that we've been using before. Obviously, it's just going to say videos controller. It's going to inherit from controller. And we're going to have this public action result index. And right now, if we go to this view, we're going to get an error because there is no view. So we're going to add this. We're going to add a view. And we're just going to call it index. And this is just going to be the page that gets rendered whenever we click on it. So I'm going to put welcome to the index view of the videos controller. Okay. So if we go ahead and we run this, we will see what I just typed. So we can take that on faith that that is actually working. Welcome to the index view of the videos controller. So we probably also, what we want to do is, I'm going to go ahead and stop this. We probably also want to go to the shared views and the layout, and we probably want to add a link to this, to the page. So we're going to use a list item, and we're going to use, if you remember from, make this a little bit bigger so you see it. If you remember from the other tutorial, the HTML helper tutorial, we're going to do an HTML helper called an action link. And this is basically just like writing an anchor tag, but this is just the MVC way of doing it. So the first parameter in this HTML action link is going to be what you want it to be viewed at, or what you want it to be displayed as, so videos. That's what it's actually going to say. Then this is the actual view that we want it to return. So we're just going to have it return the index view on the videos of the videos directory. So if we go ahead and we run this, we'll now see that up in our navigation bar we now have a link to our videos page, which right now doesn't display anything except for welcome to the index view of the videos controller. So that should seem pretty familiar from other tutorials that we've done. So now we're going to go ahead and see how we can get a little bit more complicated. So let me go ahead and stop this. So okay, so we have our video context, which I've talked about before at length. So if we go here and we see our video context, like I said, this is just going to return a list of all of the items in the video table. So if we go back to this videos controller, we're going to create a private, if I could spell at all, private video context, and we're just going to call this DB for database. Also, we have to import the build this site.models. So we'll import that, and then we'll say private video context database equals a new video context. And boom, just like that, we now have access to this database up here in our app data folder. So now what I'm going to do is, in this one, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to put all of the tables, actually I'll put it in the view bag because I haven't taught you about how to pass it into the model yet. I'll just say viewbag dot videos equals db dot, and if you look, IntelliSense already is pulling it up for us. So if we look here and we go down to the videos table, which that's what we named it, this public property video table, db.videotable dot to list. So this is just going to be a list. Okay, And now if we go to our view, so go to view, we can use Razor to do a for each, and we're just going to say var, which we haven't really talked about, but var, if you come from a dynamic like language, var should seem pretty familiar. But basically var is just C# syntax sugar, which is basically at compile time the common language runtime, the CLR determines what actual variable this var will actually turn into without a performance hit. This isn't a tutorial about var, so I'm just sort of teaching it, or about for each. So I'm hoping that you already know this. So for each var item in viewbag dot videos, I think is what I named it. What did I name it? Yep, viewbag dot videos. So this should seem fairly familiar, but all we're going to do is just print out the item name. So we're just going to go item dot name, and then we'll do break, and we'll say item dot description. Did I capitalize these? I'm sure I did. Yeah, name and description. So item dot name, item dot description, and we'll do just another br. Item dot URL. So all this is going to do, let me just walk you through what we did here, is basically we just created a new video context object, named it DB, and then we're saying this viewbag.videos equals DB, which is a video context, dot video tables, which from right here, video table, which is going to represent all the videos in our on our database. And then .toList, I'm just making it a list. So and if I go, so that's the controller, this is the model, and here's the view. I'm basically just doing a for each. So you just do the @ symbol, and then for each var item in viewbag.videos. So this is going to go through and loop through each item in the viewbag.videos folder, and it's just going to output the item.name, item.description, item.url. So right now, because there's only one item in our database, it's just going to say test, 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 test. So when I run this, provided there was no misspellings or anything, but there shouldn't be, it should just say test, 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 test. And let's see, there we go. Yeah, so test, 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 test. So welcome to the index of the view of video controllers. So in the next tutorial, we're actually going to go ahead and add some sort of meaningful information to this, and we're going to start coding it out and making it look a little bit nicer. But once again, I mean, this is pretty simple stuff. This is just, you have your public class, your context, you create this videos controller, and it's going to just pull from the DB context, or the video context, which is going to get a list of all of the items in our database. We're passing it in using viewbag to our index, and we're just going to use a for each loop to go through each item in the viewbags.videos and just output it. So in the next tutorial, we're actually going to start doing some meaningful